On to our legal beat now. The focus of yesterday's hearing with Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli addressed potential conflicts of interest regarding their choice of lawyers in the case. Here now to explain what all of this means is attorney Robin Sachs. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being with us. So catch us up yesterday. You know, the big issue yesterday was conflict of interest. The judge ruling saying that they can stay represented by Latham's and Watkins, right? But then the other law firm that they retained, even though they represent others of the defendants, they're going to revisit that at a later time. So give us some insight into the strategy.
So the idea is that Lori Loughlin and her husband want to maintain a united front. They want the same lawyer representing them, and they think that that's going to fare better. The judge highlighting the dangers. You know, the best thing for for defense in a case is to go like this and to point the finger at each other. So you really are taking a huge risk of not being able to bring up favorable evidence for one, as it may implicate the other. It's a huge handicap, and it also has huge implications if there is a trial and a later appeal.
In what way? Just kind of give us some insight there.
You know, if they lose and then they want to appeal it, they cannot raise the conflict of interest argument because they've been fully questioned. They're waiving all of the different conflicts, and actually the court and prosecutors identified 3 conflicts that exist in this case.
So let me ask you this, you know, unlike Felicity Huffman, who admitted, you know, that she was guilty and she had a very different attitude going into this thing, we're waiting to hear her sentencing. Loughlin and her husband have been very, brazen in how they've approached all of this. They face 20 years in prison.
They do.
How likely is it that this will go to trial and that this will work out for them the way they want it to?
Well, they seem to be doubling down. I mean, they are the lone people who, even in court, we got a preview of what their trial is. They're calling this legitimate donations. You know, there's articles in People magazine last week where Lori Loughlin is really holding on to that this is a donation like any other donation.
But they lied about their daughters being in crew.
Right. I mean, it's laughable as I'm even saying this, but this is their strategy. They previewed it yesterday, and it seems that they are taking the road of we're going to trial. I think that there is a feeling that they lost that window to be able to plead, and I don't know that they have, but I think that that's what's going on in their minds.
So, you mentioned, Felicity Huffman. So 23 of the 50 defendants have pleaded guilty. Felicity Huffman accepting full responsibility. What do you think? I mean, do you think that she really will have to serve jail time, or was she kind of not because of being so forthcoming from the jump?
Well, the recommendation right now is a year of supervised release. So I think that if there is going to be time, it's going to be a very short period of time. They're going to certainly want to use her as the example, specifically for the Lori Loughlin case, to show, see, this is what happens when you cooperate. See, when you're a good person or try to make up and realize you made a mistake and take responsibility, we're going to reward you for that.
Well, and their cases are so very different. One is $500,000, the other is $15,000. Not that the money, amount makes the difference, but the contriteness certainly makes a difference. So Olivia Jade, the daughter of the Loughlins and Giannulli's daughter, her Instagram posts were really, difficult to watch because she was saying, who cares about school, and, etc. How will that play into, how the judge takes a look at all of this, if at all?
Well, in her last Instagram post, she's flipping off whomever, right? We can draw whatever conclusion we want to. Certainly prosecutors are scouring every bit of social media. Any sort of evidence that you can gather or create an image and to put humanity to it is going to be something that the prosecutors are going to look at. So those posts are gold. Those give you mindset. They show entitlement. They show how you value education. So they're going to be used in some way or another. And certainly they're going to be talked about here, which is going to help pollute any future jury pool.
So from your just legal experience, looking at this, how do you think, if you had to project the outcome of this, do you think that Loughlin and her husband will go to jail?
I mean, I think that they have a huge high chance of conviction. Everybody I've talked to, and there's just no legitimate way around it. I mean, I don't know how you can say that we're going to have pictures of you in rowing uniforms, pretending
on the
to
rowing
row,
machine,
on a rowing machine, and you never rowed, and think that that's somehow a legitimate donation. There's just, it's so blatant, it's so brazen. I don't know how that they avoid a conviction.
Well, I think yesterday, as walking into court, there was a little bit more of a somber tone than you saw. One of the analysts, legal analyst commented on that. The first time they were in court, she was signing autographs. There was all this hubbub. But yesterday, there was a somber, she looked like it was more affected. She looked more affected. Both
well, certainly her publicist
could have been strategic. Could have been strategic, too, yeah.
Yeah, she got beaten up for the beige pantsuit and signing autographs and talking with the prosecutor and pretending that this was like, a Hollywood event. So I think that taking it very seriously is going to be important. And I also think that what I understand is she's locked herself behind closed doors and is scouring over documents day in and day out. She's looking for holes. She's trying to plan the defense. And really, when you've lost all of your jobs and everything else, what else are you going to do?
Well, also, I mean, has she cooked her own goose in a sense? I mean, she kind of came out, brazen, as I said earlier, and kind of gave away the opportunity to have a more lenient deal. Do you think she's going to regret that?
I mean, listen, our jurors are our voters. They're our drivers. They are human people. So these things matter. Sometimes they matter even more than the evidence. How you act, how you behave, what are you wearing, what are you saying, what is your social media, all of that stuff is going to matter in some way or another. And so I think that every move when you're out in public, on television and in court, are going to be critical.
And does this, I mean, I always wonder, does it play into it the fact that, look, the judge just may want to make an example out of these folks and, put the harshest of penalties? Does that play into this at all, or like, no?
Well, I think I think that's a factor, but the reality is I think she cooked her own goose. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where the evidence is, this is a very strong case. This is not like we're going to make an example and blow up something that's nothing. This is something that's something with a lot of great evidence.
The facts are stacked.
Right, so a prosecutor is always going to look at what are my chances of winning, and when the chances of winning are high and the likability of the person is low and they didn't accept responsibility, I don't see how you can justify anything than a sentence.
And just to take a really quick turn, because we did a story today on USC, I mean, they have a number of scandals before them. How do you think they're going to fare out of all this?
Well, I mean, this is the best thing probably for them if they can put the heat on Lori Loughlin and not put the heat on themselves. They're probably
a bit of a diversion. Robin, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We're going to be following the details of this case, including sentencing for the first group of parents scheduled for next month. We'll be right back. This is The Beat Online.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.